Yo, what is good with y'all? It's your boy KAG, and today we're going to be talking about the Nintendo NX and what is going on with the actual operating system. What is Nintendo's plans for the future? And I think I may have some answers here, so without any further ado, let's go ahead and let's hop into this video. Now, as a lot of y'all know, Nintendo has been in a situation where they've been having to balance out two separate devices. So you would have your console and you would have your handheld, and both of them would have their own unique games that they had to create. And then what this did is it actually made it difficult for them to actually balance out the amount of games that was going to be on each device. Now, as a lot of y'all know, mobile games, or should I say handheld games, is Nintendo's bread and butter. They're what pay the bills. Console games, not so much, because not all of us Nintendo fans support them like we should, because, you know, we be flip-flopping with other consoles, which there's nothing wrong with that, but you know, you still gotta support Nintendo, right? I mean, the console wasn't that bad, the Wii U wasn't bad, it was just bad marketing. But anyways, this is what I believe is actually going to be planned for the Nintendo NX and any future console, handheld, hybrid, whatever you want to call it, after here on out. So it looks like to me what Nintendo is actually working on is they're actually working on a ecosystem very similar to Android or iOS, and the way this would actually work is this would be one that is focused completely on gaming. It is more gaming oriented. Now you have these devices out, right? You have Android, you have iOS. Both of them have been out on the market for quite a while now, and they both have games on them, and they both have other apps on them, but there's one thing that they don't do well, and that is play games. Yes, you have a lot of little touchscreen games, but it doesn't really have actual real games on these devices. So what is Nintendo's plans for this? Well, it looks to me like they're actually planning their very first device being a tablet type device, which is similar to what the mobile market is used to, but the twist here is it's actually going to have an actual controller that is made for the actual console, handheld, hybrid, whatever you want to call it. It's actually going to be made for gaming. So you'll also be able to play your little handheld games or your little touchscreen games, your little multi-touchscreen games that everybody likes to play. And because of that, I would believe that this would actually have a capacitive screen rather than, you know, the resistive screen that they've been using on the 3DS and the Wii U. So I'm expecting a capacitive screen on there. And on top of that, I expect them to have physical game controls, which we all pretty much know. They're not gonna go completely with all nothing but touchscreen buttons. A lot of people are talking about tactile feedback and all this stuff, but that's a little on the steep side. So this is what I'm expecting. We're gonna have a Nintendo NX handheld tablet type device. This is going to be the first mobile device that is going to come out by Nintendo. Now, is there going to be maybe a second device? Possibly. But, you know, the initial main device, I believe, is actually going to be this hybrid type device that allows you to play games on the go as well as on TV. And the reason why I'm saying this is because Nintendo is trying to capture that mobile market. And right now, that's where all the money is. They see what's going on with Pokemon Go and how much money that is bringing in, and they're not even getting a full cut of that money because majority of it goes to the Pokemon company, you know? A lot of it goes to them, and then you have a big portion that goes to Niantic, and so they're not even really getting a major cut on that. But if Nintendo starts to work on this ecosystem, now this is going to allow them to own their own field, right? So they will be the very first completely gaming oriented field. So just like you have Android and just like you have iOS, you have Nintendo OS or Nintendos or whatever you want to call it. They're going to have their own ecosystem that they're going to have their games on, and it's going to make everybody want to put their games on it because You know what? The mobile market is a huge market and there's a lot of money in it. And a matter of fact, there is a company that actually is making more money than Nintendo, Microsoft, and Sony combined, and they only make mobile games. And that's crazy. So, Nintendo wants their piece of that pie. They're, practically the inventors of mobile gaming, They're the ones that actually had a lot of people running around with Game Boys and playing games. Granted, yes, there was Game Gears and all that other stuff, but we all know who the real true innovators was. But anyways, so it looks like Nintendo is going to be working on an ecosystem that would allow them to have a platform with, practically every game on it. And this is why it's going to be big for third parties. Now, granted, it may seem like right now that, we may not get EA support or, several other companies support. But in the long run, if it sells and people actually buy it, then they're going to put their games on it. Why? Because number one, you're going to have a huge market base there. You're talking handheld owners as well as console owners having access to these games. So for example, if we were to actually go ahead and take the 3DS line, right? Well, let's go back to the Wii line. If we actually went ahead and we took the Wii line and the DS line, right? Because I practically know those numbers. The DS sold about 100 million units or more. The Wii sold about 100 million units or more. Now you're talking about potentially a 200 million, base, a fan base of people that own those devices, right? Now imagine having the NX being capable of doing that. So maybe even if it only hit 100 million units, right? You still have a huge fan base because you have handheld gamers as well as you have console gamers that all have access to all the games. Any game that gets put out on the Nintendo NX, everybody will be able to have access to it. And so that's going to be a really big deal. On top of that, if you already know or if you don't know, Nintendo actually opened up their development so that anybody can develop for the NX, right? Or develop for a Nintendo platform. So if you are a single person, if you're a small studio, y'all can also still make games for it. They didn't divide it up like they used to have it. Granted, yes, I'm sure there will still be some check statuses, but you can see a lot of games like maybe like your Clash of Clans and your Candy Crush and all of those games put out by King and Rovio and all of them. We could probably see all those games get transitioned over, because if you actually look at what Nintendo is supposed to be coming out with, they're coming out with a tablet device, which means it will allow for, touch screen games, but because it has controllers, it'll allow for some more in-depth games that people can actually play on this device, and they will be the first and only real, gaming platform, gaming ecosystem. And on top of that, when you actually look at how it's actually going to be done, you're talking about, let's say you went ahead and you bought the Nintendo NX this year, right? And then let's say a couple years down the road, maybe even 5 years down the road, they come out with a Nintendo NX2, right? Or a Nintendo NX Square. You'd still be able to play those same games regardless of whether or not you had the X1 or the X2, because all your games would transfer over into the next device. So what that's going to allow them to do is it's going to allow them to constantly have a huge library of games at all times. And I think that is what's really missing with actual gaming today. Consoles with the 5-year lifespan and everything. And I do believe that PlayStation and Xbox are actually trying to counteract what Nintendo is working on by coming out with the Scorpio, and how they're saying that it's going to be able to play the exact same games as the Xbox One S or the Xbox One, and the Xbox One will still be able to play the same games that the Scorpio can play, minus the virtual reality games, should I note. But and the same thing with PlayStation and PlayStation Neo. because, you know, right now, they're kind of out of the loop, and with Nintendo starting this all completely from scratch right now, they're going to be able to carry this over until several generations down the road. Like we said earlier, Mr. Kimishima expects for us to be able to play this device for a long time, and whether or not that means adding a supplemental computing device every now and then for a console, who knows? But anyways, let me know what y'all all think about all this. I think it is an amazing idea. I think it's going to work out great for Nintendo, and I think it's going to bring them back to a place of, you know, making profit. But anyways, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to hit that like button, and as always, don't forget to subscribe, because we talk about all things Nintendo here. And yes, like I've been saying to y'all, I am going to be getting back into doing games. However, Nintendo is a little slack on games right now, but we'll see. They're coming. I promise you, they're coming. Especially when the Nintendo NX drops. This will be the main place to go when it comes out, because I'm going to have everything on here. But anyways, I'm out of here. Peace.